did you get a chance to read Captain America #1?
Oh, I did.
Let's start there. I feel like that's a good starting point.
I did, and I gotta say the the description of this that caused me to pick this up and get it pulled did not lie. This was great. I really enjoyed it. I love the concept. I love the idea of returning to Cap shortly after he's unfrozen, so he's dealing with this world he doesn't know. I am trying to kind of wrap my brain around the time frame a little bit because, again, in my brain, like he comes out of ice in the 60s, and I know that's not the case in whatever timeline this takes place in. So
yeah,
so Marvel has their sliding time scale,
right?
So
I just picture it like at the end of the first Avenger movie where he's just like in a more modern Times Square
on the street in his PJs.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I figured. I want to go just before we get into the actual book. So I got the design cover.
That's
here,
nice.
and I love the little notes like no black line around the A, and then talking about the silver Art Deco wings. Very young, around his 20s, so that gives you an idea of like that. Now, there's no caption here, but we all know that should be just America's ass.
That is America's ass. Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know what?
I love the little.
At this point, it goes without saying.
That's right. So.
You know what? That should have been the DC Marvel crossover, which is Nightwing's ass and America's ass.
That is a good point. Why did we not get that crossover?
Yeah,
there's still time.
Nightwing and Hawkeye have that. They both of them have the what is it on Tumblr that they just kind of people on Tumblr appropriated the characters to put them in sexy poses and stuff like that. They do the thing where they kind of pose them like the female characters normally get put on the cover. So, but. Back to Captain America's ass is very distracting. We did have Pete in the chat. Cap was really fun. Really liked the artwork. Yeah, it was really, really a stellar issue. Like I was already excited for this. I talked about it with my buddy Mike on I Read Comic Books last week, where I was like, this is kind of what I'm looking forward to the most, mainly because I was not a big fan of this Straczynski run that just wrapped up. I started it and I tried to get into it. Did either you guys finish that one?
No.
Yeah. it was okay. I liked it because it was something different. It was Cap completely out of his element. He was dealing with weird magical stuff, kind of mutants. I mean, they were mutants, but it was magic and mutants, which is not Cap's forte. Usually, when a writer comes on Cap, it's like government conspiracy, and Cap has to bring down the terrorist network and stuff. So it's completely different than what he normally does, but it was too different, I think. Like it was fun, and then I was just like, where's this going? Straczynski was still good. It just was like, I don't know. Also, like, because he was helping mutants out, and this was during the fall of Krakoa, I was like, you guys could have totally tied these two things in together. And no, but they were two completely separate stories. Like Straczynski was like, I'm going to talk about mutants, and Marvel was just like, they should have just said, that's so weird because we have a whole group of them over here that are going through their own thing. Kind of similar to what your story is, but nobody put it together. Like,
yeah. It feels like a editorial, like not miscommunication on that part. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I mean, if you enjoyed that run, not you, Jeff, but like anybody that's watching this, like if you enjoyed that run, good on you. I think he's kind of hit or miss for me. Like there's been stuff that I really enjoy, stuff that I'm like maybe not, maybe too big of a swing there. But on this one, we have writer Chip Zdarsky, who I'm a very big fan of. There's still I don't know what I've ran across the book that I'm like I don't know that was for me. Like most of them really hit. Like the Avengers Twilight recently wrapped up. It just wrapped up on Batman right before the Flash 2 storyline kicked off. He's written Spider-Man. He's written like pretty much Daredevil. He had a really big run as well. So
that Marvel 2-in-1 that he wrote that was really good. Camping, I will say one of the things I loved about this comic is so yeah, I do love the Marvel. I like it when they do update things with the Marvel sliding time scale. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it took me a second because they talk about the cell phones and stuff, and I'm like, when are we exactly?
Yeah,
But then I
exactly.
realized it was him just getting defrosted, and of course that would be like 10 years ago there were cell phones, 15 years ago. I like to when I first heard about the sliding timeline, it was like in the 80s, and everybody that was talking about it was like 10 years ago. It was when 1963 happened 10 years ago,
Right.
when Peter got bit by the spider, the Fantastic Four went up. All that happened roughly 10 years ago. I personally like to give it 15 now because there's kids involved and like they're growing up and stuff. So I'm like, it's got to be more than 10.
Yeah.
It's got to be like 15 now. So yeah, 15 years ago is, that's still post 2001, that's still post 9/11 is 15 years ago. So I think I'm doing the math on that right.
Oh God, don't do that to me. Oh, God.
All right. Real quick, how's this? It's on my It's through my AirPods now. I don't know if it sounds better.
You sound a little tinny, but we can understand what you're
we
saying.
can understand you. Yeah, you're clear, but you are a little tinny.
But whereas before,
I don't know what tinny. Hold on. Let me Google tinny. Hold on.
It's
it
like
sounds like you're talking in a tin can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a way of describing it than I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's like you're wearing Iron Man's helmet, but there's no mouth hole.
Yeah.
All right, let me
exactly.
get out of here and I'll come back real quick. Hold on.
Okay. Sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I love the art. Yeah, go ahead. Whatever you're gonna. I was just gonna vamp more.
Well, yeah, I kind of appreciated for really until the first event is done, I was like, is this an alternate universe? Like at first, I almost thought Zdarsky was going to set this in our world, right? Mm-hmm. Like our universe. So like Cap's the only hero kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. But that's really not the case. But I do hope we get a scene like this in the upcoming FF movie.
Oh yeah.
That was great. That was, if you couldn't tell, that was Reed Richards disguising himself in public by making himself look more and more like me if I had hair. So
just a sauced up drunk.
Yeah, that was very good. Very good. So let's kind of go through this. I did forget to mention art by Valerio Schiti, he's a fantastic artist as well.
Yeah.
Worked on a lot of X-Men stuff. Colors by Frank Martin, letters by Joe Caramagna. And then Ben Harvey does the interstitial pages where we get to meet another character.
Oh, that's...
so that was if you look at the credits, it says cover and then recap page art, and I think that's what those are.
Makes sense. Okay.
New John Walker?
It's going to be interesting because I feel like very clearly what they're playing with is if you took the template for Cap's origin but gave it a very different impetus, So yeah, it's a fascinating story. I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen here.
Things I loved about this, I love the Reed Cap interaction.
I do too.
Because now you read them now. Basically, ever since I think it's like Avengers 300 or whatever. It's during the Inferno run when there were no Avengers team, and Sue and Reed join the Avengers. Cap is in that black suit. It's just like a cobbled together team where they run into New York to try to fight a bunch of demons. And so Reed and Sue are part of the Avengers for like 3 or 4 issues, and Cap and Reed don't get along at all. Reed is so used to just being lead of the team and just doing what he does, like at the moment that he thinks it. And Cap is like giving orders and stuff. And so there's always been this adversarial, not on purpose, not to the extent that where Cap and Tony are, but just that they don't get each other. Cap and Reed do not understand, like they don't speak the same language, kind of. They respect each other, they don't speak the same language. So it was cool to see this moment between them where Reed was like, you were my dad's favorite hero, and that, you were my favorite hero because you're my dad's favorite hero. And he had the action figure, and he's like, yeah, they made one of Bucky too. And I was just like, that I love I love that stuff. Give me all that. That's what I want out of my Marvel and DC universes as well. So
Yeah.
And it's so Cap that his comment in basically discovering in the moment that he's like this living legend is his only question is, did they make one of Bucky too? Like, he doesn't want Bucky to be forgotten, just it's just beautiful. It's great.
Yeah.
I
I
also
love
really
it.
like the going back to just the respect that you were talking about. Like at the beginning, we see this some Captain America's chasing down somebody that is going towards the United Nations, I believe, and they're gonna, they look like they're up to no good. That we do find out that it's somebody that's got a bomb strapped to their chest, and I like that Captain America resolves this not with violence, but just by talking to this individual who's obviously there's something going on. He's having some kind of crisis personally, and it feels like this is the only way. And it's just a really, I love that he jumps on his bike, he just ditches the jacket. Like, I wonder what his jacket budget is going to, but he realizes there's a bomb, so he's got to take a different approach, and he just kind of talks to him soldier to soldier, and I love that idea of, like, that's what Captain America can do that not a lot of other heroes can, right? He was a soldier. He knows about going into battle like a regular person would. And then of course, Tony shows up and, like, I got technology too, Cap. Don't worry about it. So,
I love the old Iron Man armor.
I do too. I'm pretty sure my smile widened when I saw that helmet.
yeah.
I think the other thing that's interesting is if you read the end of Zdarsky's Batman run, there's like this storyline. It's not I feel like the end of his Batman run is really rushed, but he brings in this kind of it's the KGB agent, or however you say his name, KGB Beast or whatever.
Okay.
He's pretending to be like an American Captain America superhero for the last few issues of Batman, and it's a very politically kind of charged, it's us against them kind of stuff, and Batman has to stop him. And so it feels like this new character is kind of riffing off of that character that he created for Batman.
And something that Zdarsky explored as well on the Batman run was the idea of the Batman of Sur-Anar, right? A different identity of Batman, like what Batman would be without the humanity. And I feel like this David Colton character, who, as we read this, and we're going full spoilers, I guess we should have talked about that, but I'll put something when I reissue this video. It feels like, what if somebody else went through the same Captain America, but he didn't have what Steve has that makes him special, and that is that humanity of being Steve. Now, we don't know this about David Colton. We haven't really seen him do a lot of what we get in those recap pages is a lot of very similar beats. He's somebody, but I think the difference is the way that he's I feel like he's very mistreated before he gets kind of the chance to become Captain America. Maybe Steve went through something similar. I just haven't read enough comics. But it feels very much the same, right? So
Steve's
I'm very excited
journey.
to see.
It feels like Steve's journey into World War II was kind of like they said in the movies. He's like, I just don't like bullies, and I want to stand up for guy. This guy looks like he's looking for revenge.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, this is straight up revenge.
Yeah. So because he's pissed off. Yeah.
You meet this guy. He lost his brother during that 9/11, right? I think that's what the book's kind of telling us. So, and now that Steve finally has a mission, there's a whole new team. Even the other guys on the team, they're kind of like assholes to Steve right away.
Yeah.
Even though he's Captain America, so I like it. I like Thunderbolt Ross showing up and being the one that has this mission for him. Like, that's also a red flag in my book.
And it's also fun to see Steve go back to the army, because we all as readers, we all have this kind of baggage that we're bringing. Like, we know about Vietnam, we know about Korea, we know about how
right,
screwed up the army is now and how screwed up America is now. Steve I mean, and it was screwed up back then too, like in reality in World War II. But Steve is kind of this like fictionalized, idealistic version of how America came together and fought off the Nazis during World War II. And so it's interesting to see him have that kind of innocence and like America's always gonna, we haven't had this. This is not the Steve of the secret society yet, where Nixon has kind of like, flipped everything on his head, and Steve has, gotten before he's gotten rid of the Captain America and become Nomad and stuff. So this is still a very innocent, pure Steve,
Yep, I agree. Go ahead, Josh. I think you had a thought.
I did. I lost it. It's gone.
Just like the memories of the agent who was lost in Liberia.
Yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I hope that we get to see a little bit of how Doom came to power, because that's kind of what intrigued me also about the synopsis of this before reading the book. And then we also get some really nice, new, cool outfits for when you go on into a secret war. You have to get a new outfit, right? I feel like that's a big Marvel thing.
I am super hyped to see him go up against Doom. I know we've been getting a lot of Doom in the MCU lately, but like you said, Danny, this looks like kind of baby Doom, like early Doom, and but it just takes me back. I'm totally dating myself here. Jeff, maybe you did. Did you ever play the old Paragon computer game, Captain America and Spider-Man versus Dr. Doom?
I know of it. I did not play it, but yeah.
I had that when I was a kid, and I loved it. And it always felt really weird to me that it was like two characters you don't associate fighting Dr. Doom. So, yeah.
Nice. All right. Any final thoughts on Captain America? Because I feel like we could keep talking about this book for a little while. It's really good. I really recommend it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the next issue.
I do like how it blends like the Marvel universe with the kind of reality that Cap comes from, because of course if there are a real Doctor Doom who overtook a small whatever country, and you don't know what his intentions are, and all of a sudden you got a superhero back out of the whatever, you're like, of course, just send this guy after. And the fact that Steve is like, I don't know if I'm going over after the next Hitler. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah,
I know I've been given my mission. And the fact that Reed is like, he's not Hitler. Like, I met the guy.
I do like also this feels like Steve Rogers navigating a new world. Like you said, Danny or Jeff, sorry. He goes back to the army because that's what he knows. But he's also a little mistrustful of the information he's getting, right? So he seeks out his own info, to make sure like he knows from a non-military third party what he's getting into,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Nice.